live a life of freedom and adventure? Are you wanting more than the daily grind? Me too. Welcome to the EMMA LOVELL Show, a place where we talk about living a life you love now. I'm your host, Emma Lovell, and my number one value is freedom. I've spent the last 14 years running a business and traveling the world, and now I take my husband and toddler along for the adventure too. It's possible, and I know you can create a life doing what you truly love as well. This podcast will inspire, motivate, and encourage you to go after your dreams, to create a life you love and to live it now, not wait for retirement or someday in the future. I'll be sharing episodes weekly about how I harmonise business, travel, and self-care. I'll also bring on incredible guests to share their journeys, the wins, the challenges, and how they're creating a life they love. Let's jump in and get dreaming. This is a space for you to manifest a life you love. I would like to acknowledge and recognise Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the first peoples of this place, now known as Australia. I am grateful for the continuing care of the land, waterways and skies where I work, live, listen, learn and play. From here on Yugambeh country and from wherever you are listening, I pay my respects to the elders past and present. Hello and welcome to the podcast today. It is not going to be the best audio, I can assure you that, because I am in the airport in Colombia. I'm in Bogotá, Colombia, and next stop is Panama City, where we're going to embark on a cruise, which is so exciting. It was kind of the whole reason for the trip actually. So I haven't done one on my phone in a while, so the video is not going to be amazing and the audio is not going to be amazing, but I really wanted to do a podcast while I'm here in Colombia. So I'm going to take my earring out because it's hitting the phone. So welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Emma Lovell. I travel a lot. This is my 78th country. So I've been traveling since I was 2 years old. My son, who is actually 5 years old, he's now been to 20 countries and he's been on 5 continents. I said he'd been on 4 and then I realised I'd done my maths wrong, and North and South America are different continents. So South America becoming his 5th continent, which is a bit wild to be honest. I think at that age I had been to 3 continents and maybe like 5 countries, which is still a lot for some people. But travel's very normal in my family. My parents are English, so I was on a plane at 2 to go and visit the family in England. My dad also travelled a lot for work, so he was in 2 different countries a year from kind of the time I can remember, and always brought us wonderful gifts, so I like buying gifts from countries as well. I'm a little bit breathless, and that's because what I want to share on this episode is I enjoy travelling with a beginner's mindset. So open eyes, not doing too much research, and especially if I know people in the country, I like to just go in and learn with them and from them. But it's probably a good idea to understand the climate, and when there's something like altitude involved, it's probably a good thing to know. So fun fact, Bogotá is one of the highest capitals in the world. So there are 10 in the top 10 capital cities. Bogotá is like number 5 or 6. So it's 2,650 meters above sea level. I live very much at sea level. I can walk to the water. We are flat where I live. And although I've done a lot of trekking, usually I prepare a little bit and I would take some medicine. So top tip, if you're coming here, I would actually bring altitude medicine. What altitude sickness does is it makes you breathless. It makes you more tired. It can give you headaches. It can make your stomach funny. So yeah, like yesterday I had a funny tummy and I was like, oh, it's probably just the richness of the food and being a bit tired. And then I was like, oh, altitude sickness. Matthew had a headache yesterday morning, and yeah, just the shortness of breath. It really takes you by surprise, like without exerting much. Just walking through the airport, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm puffing. So excuse the announcements. But yeah, we came to Colombia based on travel maths. So we were in Mexico. So we sort of did this trip in reverse. We have this cruise going from Panama, Costa Rica, 2 places in Mexico back to LA. So because of when the dates were, they're talking about Cancun right now, but we're going to Panama. Because of the dates, and then the school holidays, I was like, well, we're not going to come back to Australia for 1 week and then take Finn out of school again. So we're travelling for 5.5 weeks. And anytime I'm coming to this part of the world, I'm of course going to go visit my cousin Bill. And then also I was writing his book, so I was like, well, we'll have the book launch in the first week of April when we get there. And I wanted to make it as soon as possible because he's 103 and we don't know how things are going to go. So we planned his book launch for the 4th of April, the first weekend I could get there. We took Finn out of school a little bit early. I flew over a week earlier with Finn, and then my husband joined me on the 8th of April. So we were in America for 2 weeks, had the book launch. Then we planned to go to Mexico, which is something we wanted to do in 2024, which would have been our 1-year anniversary because we got married on a leap year. But it just didn't work out. We're going to go there again last year, just couldn't squeeze it in. So it was like, okay, we have to go there when we're in this part of the world. Travel maths. For Australians, if you've already gone so far, you may as well just keep going or add more in. So we went from Chicago to Cancun, which was amazing as well because I'm a Virgin Australia member and we actually had points. So our flights return to the US was $400 in taxes for the 3 of us, which is insane. And probably we spent about 200,000 points. It was very, 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 very reasonable, maybe even less, to work that out again. And then I was able to use our points to buy the flight on United from Cancun to Mexico. So what would have cost us $900 or $1,000 cost us $300 in taxes. So that's, or $390, like amazing. So we had 6 days in Mexico. We did our, I wanted to record a podcast there, but I've decided I will do one in every country. So Costa Rica will be a bit funny because we're only there for a day. But we are going back to Mexico on this trip, so I will do a little podcast from there. So usually I do a big review one, but I still haven't done my review one from America last year, so I think it's better if I do it as I'm going. Do a short one, understand that the audio might not be as good, but it's fun to show you what it's really like to live this pleasure life. So we had our underwater photo shoot in Mexico because that's something we did at our wedding, so it was anniversary reunion, which was amazing. And then we were looking at going from Cancun to Panama, and the flights were like crazy expensive. It's only a 2-hour and a half flight direct, which is great, but it would have 2 hours. It was a direct flight, but it would have been $700. And then to fly via Colombia, to have one stop, it was going to be like $200 or $300 each. So just, we're talking about $2,000 versus $600. So, but the flight times were horrible. We would have got in at like 1 a.m. to Panama, and I was like, I don't want to really arrive to a Latin American country at 1 a.m. and it's hard for all of us with a little one and 2 flights, so I said no. So we looked at a stopover, but then we would have basically got to Bogotá, got in the hotel, woken up in the morning and gone again. And I was like, well, we're going all that way. And it's actually funny because my husband hates spending money. He likes being in a place, he doesn't like traveling to it, and he doesn't like spending money. But he said, well, if we're going through there, we may as well stay there. So there is a stopover program with Avianca, but unfortunately on our flight it wasn't showing it as an available option. I tried contacting Avianca directly, but they're a little bit difficult to contact. They don't really have an office in Australia. So I reached out to my travel agent, a wonderful Brisbane Travel Centre, Tanya at Brisbane Travel Centre. And so we booked the flight via Colombia, but we just had to sort of pay for the stopover. So all up it was $500 each, but we got to have a whole new country as opposed to, so you're kind of like, well, you probably spent more, Emma, because you spent a hotel and you went out and all that stuff, and it's like about travel maths, when we're already here, why not do it? And it was my husband's idea. So awesome to book the flights through a travel agent for us when it's a little bit more complicated, and to make sure you get the times and the flights that you want. And then I reached out to my beautiful friend Carolina, who is from Colombia, and said, do you have any tips? Like, where should we stay? Like, what areas are good? And she said, let me ask my parents, because they live there. She visits, but she hasn't lived here for a long time. She's living in Sydney. We met through a wonderful business network, Business Chicks, and she's just become an amazing friend. Helped me. She works in freight. She helped me ship my books to the USA. She's incredible, but just a beautiful heart. And she said, let me talk to my parents. And she comes back and she goes, okay, so here's the area. You're looking at this hotel. It's a good hotel. We stayed in Usaquén. So it's a very cosmopolitan, expat, international area, but also like got the antiguo, like the typical kind of structures and style that make you see like what Colombia really looks like. because the city, Bogotá, is quite modern in many ways. So, and all the hotels we were looking at looked really, really modern, which is good comfort, but I want to see Colombia, and we only had 2 days. So anyway, she goes, okay, so the area's good. And now my parents, they're going to pick you up from the airport and take you to your hotel. They're going to take you around on the day you have here. And they're going to pick you up in the morning and take you back to the hotel. And I just wanted to cry. I was like, oh my God, this is that hospitality and that paying it forward and that travel karma that I love. It's why I have been able to travel so much. I've been to so many countries because I know someone and I get invited, or I say I'm going, and they say, well, welcome. I've stayed in Bahrain and in my Indian friend's house. I stayed in Brunei when my friend was living there for a while. I've stayed in homes in Nepal, in Jakarta, in Indonesia, England, Scotland, I've probably stayed in homes in more countries than I haven't. So I just feel so blessed. So we didn't stay in the home this time because they live a little outside. So they came to the city, stayed at their son's house, which is very near to our hotel. Picked us up. They don't really speak English, which is fine. So I speak Spanish, but obviously one of the other things I realized, so I'm just going to share a few lessons and things I learned while I was here. I'm so tired. I was so tired in Mexico, and I was just like, why am I so tired? I guess we had a big few weeks in America. We did the book launch. I'm so tired. And then I realized when I landed here, I was like, oh my gosh, my brain is working double time. I'm thinking in Spanish. I am speaking in Spanish. I'm thinking in English and Spanish all at once. And it's a really beautiful thing, like that I can do it. I've been speaking Spanish since I lived in Mexico in 2009, and I learned Spanish while studying in the university there. The fact that I remember it so well, the fact that I practiced it over the years, but I don't speak it regularly. So it is an effort. I have to work different muscles in my mouth because they pronounce words differently. R is difficult, but yeah. First thing I'm thinking myself, and I'm thinking in Spanish, which is an amazing level to get to, but it is tiring. So yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. And so I'm the translator here, and I'm the go-between. And I think Finn reacts a little bit differently when I'm speaking Spanish. He finds it strange. I probably don't look or seem like myself, but he also wants my attention. And I'm trying to listen and speak, and then I'm trying to listen to him, and then I'm trying to tell each other what they're saying. And so it's a big job. So hats off to anyone who's bilingual, who is a translator or interpreter. It's a big job. So I was tired, but it's also amazing to be able to communicate and to be able to share this experience with them. So yeah, as my friend Kirsten Pilz says, I have a beginner's mindset. You like meditation or travel, you have this beginner's mindset. You act like a beginner. Everything is new, and I love doing that. But it would have been good to know that in Bogotá, the altitude is very high, so there is possibility of altitude sickness. Probably would have been good to do a little bit of research about how many people live here. I totally just was like, where's the sea? Like, how far away from the ocean are we? And Matt's like, Emma, even I know. Bogotá is very central. It would take 10 hours to get to the beach. So my husband's looking for me. I think he's looking for me to get on the plane, so I better wrap this up. So yeah, probably good to look at the geography and a map. Totally forgot that Colombia is in South America, which is just not good, and a bad travel person. I think because we're going to be in Central America so much, and because we were in Mexico, which is in North America, and I wasn't picturing that area, and because the flight went via here, you would think it's on the way, but no, we went from Mexico down to South America. So from North America, Mexico, South America, Colombia, up to Panama, Central America. So it's, you can, understand why I thought that, but also look at a map. And also, Colombia is the entrance to South America. So it was very cool to have Matt and Finn go to a new continent. Very cool to be in this part of the world. But yeah, just look at a map, that would be a good idea. Any other things that I wish I knew? Maybe look up the currency. The currency is really high. So we had dinner at $60, 160,000. So it's in the thousands. So it's kind of hard to get your head around how much things are. So I'm just using currency exchange app and being very lazy. I'm finding it amazing this time. I am using ChatGPT Thread to check my Spanish sometimes. If there's something that I want to say differently or I'm just not understanding, that's been really helpful because I can read and pronounce Spanish. It's a good just little checker and help. So that's been really helpful to have this time when if you go to Google Translate or something, it's just a bit more clunky and it takes a bit longer. So having a thread was really helpful. What else? Yeah, just bring probiotics. We forgot our probiotics. I usually have slippery elm, which is for my stomach as well. And I just would bring altitude medicine if I was coming again. Totally had no idea how high it was. I didn't look into anything to see. I was just really happy to be led and happy to enjoy the company of my friend's parents, to enjoy some food. So we had some empanadas, we had a steak, which was awesome. Try some like the fresh fruits and things like that. So obviously there's so much more to see in Colombia. This was just a taster, this was just a stopover. So very glad that we can say we've been here, but I know we'll be back, and we'll be back with my beautiful friend Carolina and her family. It's nice to have family here now, and I did cry my eyes out this morning. I was just because how kind and generous they were. How Carolina wrote, this is my family, my new family has now gone and met my family. So she's calling us family. I live in Sydney, she lives in the Gold Coast, but we catch up when we can. And I just love that. And she thinks of me as family, and I think of her the same. And then she introduced me to her family and welcomed us like that. And I just think be open to generosity and kindness like that. And of course, we are very, very happy to welcome them to the Gold Coast and host them when they come. And I know they'll come again. But just I'm blown away. And then I also felt really emotional because I know how Carolina is feeling seeing us here, very happy for us, but also she misses her parents. And I said to her, is there anything you want me to get from Colombia? Do you want me to bring anything home for you? And she said, yes, my parents. And I was like, oh, I read that out to her mum, and I was like getting choked up because I understand that feeling of being so far. It's so far. Colombia to Australia is so far, and it's very expensive to travel. So it's difficult, but they're a very close family, even with the distance, and I'm really glad to now be included and to have had this experience. So I'm just watching my gate. I better go and get on the plane so I don't miss the trip to Panama. But I will do a podcast from Panama. I'd love to have your questions. If you have any questions about doing this trip, about how we're doing multi-country, multi-continent travel as a family, any tips you want, I will do a longer, more detailed, and do a blog about this as well. So I'm trying to get back into the blogging and share information that's helpful. So but top tip, look at a map, know your geography, and check altitudes because it really affects you. So hasta luego de Colombia. So goodbye from Colombia. See you later. And next stop, Panama. Bienvenido. Gracias por tu atención. And I might do a little bit more Spanish for you on another podcast. All right. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. I'm Emma Lovell. This is the Emma Lovell Show, and I'm living my Bleisure life, and I hope you are too. I hope this has inspired you to dream big and start creating a life you love today. If you love what you're hearing, don't forget to follow and rate on Spotify, and rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. It helps other awesome people to find this podcast and get motivated and inspired as well. Want to stay connected? Come and join the Live a Life You Love group on Facebook, or connect with me on Instagram, emmalovell.au. The same as my website, but all the details are in the show notes, lovely. I'll see you next episode for more inspiration, motivation, and freedom seeking. Now go out there and live a life you love.